So it's an ocean out there, as you just described, and tens, if not hundreds of health systems are on this AI journey. So with such a large landscape, how do you make meaningful transformation happen? And what are some of the capabilities that you might try to build around that?
Yeah, great question. I look at the landscape of external landscape and then internal to the organization landscape. I do feel there is so much potential to create efficiency in healthcare stream that we need a network of organizations. So I look very closely. I'm a part of the working group for Gen AI for CHAI, Coalition of Healthcare AI. So we need to look at FDA and the governance from the federal government, but then we need something like CHAI to kind of create frameworks and guidance back in that regard. But then we also need something like Train, which I'm part of as well, from UC Davis Health, which looks at the Train network, looks at how do we kind of really distill things to more infrastructure level and kind of monitor that in a safe manner. Where Valid AI positions is more on impact. How do we follow the guidelines from CHAI and the federal government, but how do we actually bring it to reduce to practice is what we call rubber meets the road and really create an impact so it really has a return on investment for us in that regard. So that's the learning part. But when we look at how do we really create an impact within our organization, moving from, and I had a great discussion with some of the folks, and I was saying all these external network organizations actually are interdependent and support each other. For example, if we implement something and give feedback to CHAI to, hey, your open model card really is working and this is how we're using it, that supports CHAI mission as well. We came with the concept of this Olympic rings, 7 Olympic rings or 5 Olympic rings, which are interconnected.
Yes. Yes.
So we need interconnected different organizations outside to support us from that. But when we look at the landscape for internal to an organization, let's say UC Davis Health is an example, where I've been leading the charge on transformation, digital health and AI for the last 4 years, we need to look at our AI strategy or our overall health system strategy. Is our focus being in a quaternary hospital? Do we want to expand geographically through care at home? What are the major things we as an organization want to achieve? Because that major strategy then governs how we put AI into it, right? So it starts with the strategy first approach. And then we distill from strategy to governance, which means how do we bring AI, which all approvals we have to need. We need cybersecurity team to look at it. We need approvals from ethics and equity compliance kind of committees, whatever structure are there. We need to look at someone from procurement, how they procure in that regard, whether it's in UC. So we need to have some governance structure, which not only helps us move this along, but also the governance structure also helps us prioritize. Because there are so many possibilities right now, we can and we should not in any way bring all the AI technologies. We cannot and should not do that. We need to look at out of all those technologies, which is completely aligned with our strategy that meets our gaps. So strategic lens, and then using the strategy lens, prioritize the top 5 or 10. Then those top 5 or 10 then go through the governance and the implementation and the procurement process. Once the procurement process happens, then we call it AI adoption roadmap needs to come in, where we have project manager, project coordinators, integration experts after the procurement actually putting it together. Then the go live happens. And then we also need to do evaluation at scale and monitoring at scale. We need to measure that the algorithm doesn't degrade. We also need to know that we are creating an outcome which we want. Many times we are guilty of taking a new technology, just implementing it and not measuring its impact and not monitoring it. So I think there's a new, we call it implementation science layer that has to be built in. We published a paper in New England Journal of Medicine AI that the need for creating AI implementation science centers in health system. And I'm a gastroenterologist, so I often crack the joke, the food is there, but our stomach has to be empty enough and there has to be hunger so we can ingest the food. Once we ingest the food, then we can digest the food, right? So we need to increase our capacity as health systems to be able to ingest the right kind of AI solutions and then to be able to digest and create the maximum value from those AI solutions.